Within these chapters lies a code, a pattern so fundamental to existence that once recognized, it cannot be unseen. It is the skeleton key that unlocks every door, the master frequency that harmonizes with all creation. This is not about learning, but about remembering what your spirit has always known. As you journey through these teachings, you will discover how to align with the sacred currents that shape reality. You will learn to speak the language of the universe itself, not through empty words or desperate pleading, but through the ancient art of energetic resonance. The doorway before you leads to remembrance. Through it lies not just manifestation, but transformation, not just attraction, but transcendence. The choice to step through is yours alone. Part 1. The First Veil. Awakening to the Forgotten Laws. Chapter 1. The First Veil. In a village where ancient winds carried whispers of forgotten wisdom, young Walter spent his days watching life unfold through windows clouded by mundane routine. Each morning brought the same sights: merchants arranging their wares, children chasing each other through dusty streets, elderly craftsmen bent over their work. Until one evening, as shadows lengthened across cobblestones, a mysterious traveler appeared at the village square. The traveler, wrapped in a cloak that seemed woven from starlight itself, approached Walter with a peculiar object, a mirror unlike any other. "This shows not what is, but what could be," the traveler said, extending the mirror. On its surface, Walter saw not his reflection, but visions of possibilities that took his breath away. The truth you now approach is similar to Walter's mirror. It reveals not what your eyes see, but what your spirit intends. Most souls walk through life as Walter once did, believing they are witnessing reality when they are, in fact, creating it with every thought, every belief, every emotion that passes through their being. The veil between what you think you see and what truly exists is gossamer thin, yet remarkably persistent. It is made of thoughts repeated so often they have become transparent to you, invisible beliefs that color every experience before it reaches your consciousness. Your beliefs are not mere thoughts, they are the architects of your perception. Your perceptions give birth to emotions, and these emotions are the very substance from which your reality is fashioned. This is the sacred science of manifestation. Your emotional state is not a response to reality, but rather the mold into which reality flows. Years later, Walter returned to find the traveler. His eyes now held the wisdom of one who had seen beyond the veil. "The mirror showed me nothing I didn't already know," he said, "but everything I had forgotten to see." The world around him remained unchanged, yet Walter walked through it as if in a different dimension, one where possibility danced at his fingertips. This mirror of truth now turns to you. The limitations you perceive, the boundaries you accept, the walls that seem to block your path, are they solid, or are they veils you have chosen to believe in? Take this ancient practice. In the silence of your heart, write down 5 beliefs that constrain your life. Face each one in turn and ask with gentle curiosity, "Is this true, or merely a veil I've agreed to wear?" Let the answer emerge not from your mind, but from the depths of your being, where truth has always resided. Chapter 2. The Secret Flame. In the rolling hills of Kentucky, where mist clings to ancient trees and whispered wisdom echoes through valleys, lived Eleanor, a woman who understood the language of plants and the secrets they held. Her small cabin, surrounded by herbs and flowers, stood as a testament to nature's quiet power. One autumn evening, as she tended her garden, her hands brushed against something buried beneath years of earth, a lantern, unlike any she had seen before. The lantern was crafted of metal that seemed to shimmer with its own light, untarnished by time. When Eleanor lifted it from its earthen bed, She noticed it held no oil, no wick, yet a gentle glow emanated from within. Night after night she sat with this mysterious light, until understanding dawned like the first rays of morning sun. The lantern's glow responded to her innermost state of being. You too carry such a light within. This eternal flame is not something to seek, but to remember. It is the divine intelligence that has guided every master, sage, and awakened soul throughout time. This inner fire responds not to external forces, but to your alignment with universal truth. When you stand in harmony with your deepest self, this flame burns bright enough to illuminate any darkness. It is the source of every inspired thought, every moment of clarity, every instance of knowing without knowing how you know. This is not metaphor, but literal truth. There exists within you a conscious force of creation, waiting to be acknowledged. In time, Eleanor came to understand that the lantern merely reflected what was already present within her. One day, a troubled boy named Thomas, known throughout the village for his anger and confusion, found his way to her door. Instead of offering herbs or remedies, Eleanor showed him how to sit quietly and feel the warmth of his own inner light. Close your eyes, she instructed, and imagine a flame in your heart, burning steady and bright. Day after day, Thomas returned. Gradually, his anger melted like frost in the morning sun. The light in his eyes grew stronger, matching the glow he had discovered within. You are no different from Thomas. The eternal flame burns within you at this very moment. It requires no kindling but awareness, no fuel but faith. It has never dimmed, never wavered, never gone out, even in your darkest moments. Take now this sacred practice. Light a single candle in a quiet space. Let your breath flow gently and deeply. With each inhale, feel the flame within growing brighter, stronger, more radiant. With each exhale, let its light fill every cell of your being. Speak these words with quiet certainty. The light within me is eternal and awake. Let this truth resonate through your entire being, awakening what has always been there, waiting. Chapter 3: The Watcher Within. In a secluded grove where ancient oaks whispered secrets to the wind, Franklin found his sanctuary. Though his eyes had long since ceased to see the physical world, he discovered a vision far more penetrating. Each morning he would make his way to a weathered oak, guided by the familiar touch of bark beneath his fingers, and there he would sit in the stillness. You see, Franklin's blindness became his gateway to a deeper perception. As he sat in meditation, voices began to emerge, not from the world around him, but from the vast expanse of consciousness itself. Past and future merged in his awareness, revealing themselves not as linear progression, but as eternal presence. Through this experience, you too can understand the fundamental truth that eluded humanity for ages. You are not the body that sits, not the thoughts that race, not the emotions that surge. You are the timeless awareness in which all these experiences arise and dissolve. When you believe yourself to be your thoughts, you become like a sailor who thinks he is the storm. Yet you are the vast sky through which all weather passes. This recognition is not merely philosophical. It is the key to mastering your creative power. Just as Franklin learned to sit unmoved while thoughts and sensations flowed through his awareness, you can discover this same unwavering presence within yourself. Your true nature is like the depths of the ocean, still, powerful, and undisturbed by the waves that dance upon its surface. Years later, Franklin began sharing this wisdom with others who found their way to his oak tree. "Sit," he would say, "and watch your thoughts as you would watch leaves floating down a stream." Those who heeded his guidance discovered that their mental turbulence, when merely witnessed, began to settle of its own accord. This is the art of conscious detachment, not a rejection of experience, but a shift in identity from the temporary to the eternal. As you practice this ancient way, you will find that manifestation flows not from the agitated mind, but from the still depths of pure awareness. Now find a quiet space where you can sit undisturbed. Allow your spine to rise naturally, your breath to flow easily. As thoughts arise, memories, worries, plans, simply watch them pass through your awareness. Do not grasp, do not resist. With each breath, silently affirm, I am the watcher, not the wave. This practice, passed down through countless generations, holds the power to transform your relationship with existence itself. In the space of pure witnessing, you access the true source of all creation. Chapter 4. The Voice Behind the Desire. In the heart of a bustling city, where dreams often fade beneath the weight of routine, lived a young woman named Clara. Each night she would wake from vivid dreams of a life so different from her own, dreams of speaking to crowds, healing hearts, and touching lives across continents. These visions felt more real than her waking hours, yet she dismissed them as mere fantasy. You must understand that desires are not random impulses or fleeting wants. They are sacred messages, whispered directly from the universal mind into your consciousness. When Clara encountered an aging sage in a quiet garden, his words struck a chord deep within her soul. The dreams that visit you are not accidents. They are invitations. This truth has been guarded through ages. Your deepest desires are divine impulses, calling you toward your highest expression. They are not meant to torment you with what you lack, but to guide you toward what you are becoming. Each authentic desire carries within it the seed of its own fulfillment. Clara began to honor these whispers instead of pushing them aside. She recognized that her yearning to speak and heal was not a sign of dissatisfaction, but a beacon illuminating her path. The sage taught her to sit with each desire, not as something to chase, but as something to understand. Months passed, and Clara followed one clear desire, to create a space where others could discover their own inner truth. She did not force or strain, but allowed this desire to guide her choices, her words, her steps. What unfolded was beyond what her mind could have planned. A gathering of souls who, like her, were learning to trust their inner compass. You see, when you honor desire as sacred guidance rather than suppress it as selfish wanting, you align with the universe's natural flow. Your desires are not random. They are the language through which the infinite speaks to the individual. Now take your journal and write down your 3 deepest desires. Not the ones you think you should want, but the ones that whisper to you in quiet moments. For each desire, ask yourself, what version of me would naturally live this reality? Then for 1 hour, step fully into that self. Move as they would move, speak as they would speak, see through their eyes. This is not pretense, it is practice in aligning with your emerging truth. Remember, desire is not the enemy of spiritual growth, but its ally. When you understand this, you begin to see that every authentic desire is a thread in the grand tapestry of your becoming. Chapter 5. The Mirror Principle. In the heart of an ancient marketplace where the aroma of fresh bread has woven through narrow streets for generations, you will find a truth as old as breaking bread itself. This wisdom emerged through Thomas, a baker whose loaves were as heavy as his spirit. Each morning as Thomas kneaded his dough, he noticed a peculiar pattern. On days when frustration churned within him, his customers seemed especially demanding, even hostile. When anxiety gripped his heart, his bread would not rise properly. Yet on rare mornings when peace filled his soul, Everything flowed with mysterious grace. You must understand this fundamental truth. The world around you is not a collection of random events, but a living mirror reflecting your inner state. This is the mirror principle, a law as constant as gravity itself. Every interaction, every circumstance, every seemingly chance encounter serves as feedback from the universal field of consciousness. This mirror does not exist to judge or punish. It exists to awaken you to your own power. When you encounter difficulty, look not to the mirror, but to what it reflects. Your outer world will shift only when your inner world transforms. Thomas discovered this truth gradually. He began to notice how his thoughts about scarcity drew customers who complained about prices. His fears about not being good enough attracted critics. But as he shifted his internal dialogue from lack to abundance, from fear to trust, the mirror of reality responded in kind. "I am worthy of success," he would whisper while shaping his loaves. "My work brings joy and nourishment to all who receive it." Day by day, his customers began to mirror these affirming thoughts. They spoke of how his bread brought comfort to their homes, how his shop felt warm and welcoming. The transformation you seek in your external circumstances begins with aligning your internal state. The universe cannot help but reflect what you hold within. This is not magical thinking. It is the natural law of consciousness responding to itself. Now, stand before a mirror and speak aloud the words you wish to hear from life. If you desire abundance, speak words of generosity. If you seek love, speak words of compassion. Then, carry these words into your day, not just as sounds, but as actions. Let your behavior reflect the reality you wish to create. Remember, the mirror never lies, but it also never judges. It simply shows you where you stand in relation to your own truth. When you align your inner state with what you wish to experience, the reflection must change. This is the law that governs all manifestations. Chapter 6, The Word as Wand. Within the hushed corridors of an aging library, where wisdom sleeps in forgotten volumes, you will discover a truth about the sacred power of words. This revelation came through Mabel, a keeper of books whose quiet dedication masked an extraordinary awakening. One autumn evening, while reorganizing ancient texts, Mabel uncovered a leather-bound manuscript, its chapters brittle with age. As she opened it, golden letters seemed to dance before her eyes, revealing the vibrational essence of human speech. Each word, she learned, carried a frequency that rippled through the fabric of creation. You must understand that your words are not mere sounds floating in the air. They are seeds planted in the fertile soil of universal consciousness. Every utterance shapes the energy around you, creating ripples that touch both seen and unseen realms. When you speak of lack, you strengthen its presence. When you declare abundance, you summon its manifestation. This power does not discriminate between whispered thoughts and proclaimed declarations. Each word carries the same creative force, blessing or cursing according to its nature. Your casual complaints weave threads of discord, while your conscious blessings craft tapestries of harmony. In time, Mabel began applying this wisdom to her small town, which had fallen into decline. Instead of joining the chorus of defeat that echoed through empty storefronts, she spoke words of renewal. "Our community flourishes," she would say, even when evidence suggests otherwise. "Prosperity flows through our streets like a river of light." Day by day, her aligned speech began to shift the town's energy. Others caught the resonance of her words, and their own speech began to change. Where there had been criticism, appreciation bloomed. Where fear had dwelt, faith took root. Within months, new businesses opened, community spirit awakened, and the town pulsed with fresh vitality. You hold this same power in your tongue. Your words can heal or harm, create or destroy, lift up or tear down. This is not metaphor, but metaphysics, the literal interaction between consciousness and creation. Now dedicate one full day to speaking only blessings. Let no criticism pass your lips, no complaint cloud your speech. Bless your morning coffee, your challenging commute, your difficult colleagues. Speak words of abundance over your finances, words of health over your body, words of harmony over your relationships. Record how this practice shifts your experience of reality, noting changes in both energy and circumstance. This practice will reveal that your words are not simply describing your world, they are creating it. Each blessing you speak is a seed planted in the garden of possibility, each positive declaration a thread woven into the fabric of your future. Chapter 7. The Sacred Pause. In the heart of an ancient city where time itself seemed to flow differently, there lived a craftsman named Samuel. His workshop, filled with the gentle rhythm of countless timepieces, held a secret that would unveil one of the universe's most powerful truths. You see, Samuel had mastered not just the mechanics of clocks, but the sacred space between their ticks. Through years of patient observation, he discovered that within these microscopic eternities lay the seeds of transformation. Each tick marked not just the passage of time, but a doorway into infinite possibility. Within these intervals of stillness, you possess the power to reshape reality itself. When faced with any situation, there exists a holy pause, a space between what happens and how you choose to respond. This pause, though brief, contains the power of the entire universe. Most drift through life reacting instantly to circumstances, missing the creative potential that lives in the space between moments. Yet in this sacred pause dwells your true power, the ability to choose consciously rather than react unconsciously. Samuel's understanding deepened one fateful morning when a wealthy merchant arrived, demanding an impossible deadline for a complex timepiece. In the past, Samuel would have immediately refused, triggering a chain of unpleasant consequences. But this time he caught himself in the pause between the merchant's words and his own response. In that stillness, he glimpsed a different possibility. Taking a conscious breath, Samuel felt time expand around him. In this expanded awareness, he saw not just the merchant's demand, but the fear and pressure driving it. Instead of refusing, he offered an alternative solution that blessed both parties. This single pause transformed what could have been a conflict into a lifelong partnership. You hold this same power in every moment. When anger rises, pause. When fear grips, pause. When judgment surfaces, pause. In these spaces between reaction and response lies your greatest creative power. Throughout your day, set a timer to ring at random intervals. When it sounds, stop everything. For one full minute, enter the sacred pause and ask yourself, what am I creating now? Let the stillness reveal the truth of your current creation. Notice the thoughts flowing through your mind, the emotions stirring in your heart, and the energy you're sending into the universe. Are you manifesting from fear or love? From lack or abundance? From resistance or acceptance? This practice of conscious pausing will gradually transform your awareness, allowing you to catch yourself before unconscious patterns take hold. Each time you pause, you strengthen your ability to choose your response rather than merely react. In these moments of stillness, you access the infinite creative power that has always resided within you, waiting to be awakened. Chapter 8. Symbols and Signs. In the quiet halls of an old schoolhouse, a teacher named Dorothy traced her finger along mysterious markings that had appeared in her morning meditation. These weren't ordinary scratches or random patterns. They were messages waiting to be understood. You live in a universe that speaks constantly through the language of symbols. Every event, encounter, and coincidence carries meaning deeper than its surface appearance. Just as ancient societies read the stars and interpreted dreams, you too can learn to understand these divine messages that surround you. When you begin to see life as a living oracle, everything transforms into guidance. The red cardinal that visits your window, the recurring number sequence on your clock, the song that plays 3 times in one day, these are not random events but sacred communications from the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all of existence. Dorothy began noticing these patterns during a particularly challenging period in her life. First came the spiral symbol in her dreams. Then spiral shells appeared on her path. And finally, a student drew a perfect spiral on their assignment. Each instance seemed to whisper of cycles, of returning to center, of natural unfolding. The universe speaks in this symbolic language because it bypasses the rational mind and touches the deeper wisdom of your soul. When you attune yourself to this sacred dialogue, life becomes a continuous revelation of truth and direction. A wise woman once told Dorothy that coincidence is merely God choosing to remain anonymous. This understanding led Dorothy to follow the trail of symbols that eventually guided her to heal an old family wound. Through a series of synchronized events, each marked by the spiral symbol, she found herself reconnecting with her estranged sister, completing a cycle that had begun in their childhood. Your life, too, is filled with these divine breadcrumbs, leading you toward your highest good. The key lies in developing your spiritual perception, learning to read the signs and trust their guidance. Every symbol that catches your attention is an invitation to deeper understanding. The practice: select a symbol that resonates with your heart, perhaps a butterfly, a specific color, or a geometric shape. Hold this symbol in your mind and request the universe to communicate with you through it today. When your chosen symbol appears, pause completely. Take 3 deep breaths and open yourself to receive the message it carries. Remember, the message may come through your thoughts, feelings, or a sudden knowing. Trust what arises in that sacred moment of recognition. Chapter 9: The Ancient Law of Agreement. In a dusty attic of an old boarding house, Harold discovered a weathered envelope bearing his signature, though he had no memory of signing it. The document inside revealed agreements he had unconsciously made. I accept that success comes hard. I agree to remain ordinary. I consent to limitation. As he read each line, recognition dawned in his heart. These were not mere words, but the very beliefs he had silently accepted throughout his life. You too have signed invisible contracts with life. Each time you whispered, "I can't." Each moment you decided, "This is impossible." Each instance you thought, "I'm not worthy." You placed your signature on an energetic agreement. These contracts, though unseen, carry the full weight of universal law. The universe honors every agreement you make with reality. When you silently accept that money is hard to come by or love always ends in pain, you bind yourself to that experience as surely as if you had signed in blood. But just as you have the power to make these agreements, you hold the authority to dissolve them. Harold spent years wondering why his efforts never yielded results, why opportunities seemed to pass him by, why abundance remained just out of reach. Now, holding the physical manifestation of his mental agreements, he understood. He had bound himself through the power of his own consciousness. In the dim light of that attic, Harold did what you too must do. He consciously revoked the old contracts. One by one, he crossed out each limiting agreement, replacing it with a new declaration. I now choose unlimited possibility. I agree to express my full potential. I accept abundance as my natural state. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you have agreed is possible. Your current life experience reflects the sum total of your conscious and unconscious contracts with reality. Each limitation you experience can be traced back to an agreement you made, perhaps in a moment of fear, perhaps in childhood, perhaps in resignation. Through Harold's story, you glimpse your own power to rewrite these sacred agreements. Just as he discovered that document in the attic, you now uncover the contracts that have shaped your reality. The power to revise them has always been yours. Sacred practice. In the silence of dawn or dusk, take a fresh piece of paper. Write at its top, I now dissolve all previous agreements that limit my expression of life. Below this, craft your new soul contract, stating clearly what you now choose to experience. Sign it with reverence, knowing the universe will honor your new choice. Read this contract aloud each morning for 7 days, feeling the new agreement taking root in your consciousness. Chapter 10. The Tuning of Truth. In the halls of an ancient conservatory, a violinist named Lucille struggled to master her instrument. Though her technique was flawless, something vital remained missing from her music. Night after night she practiced until her fingers bled, yet perfection eluded her grasp. You too may recognize this struggle, the endless striving for excellence while missing the essential truth. Harmony comes not from effort, but from alignment. Just as Lucille discovered, mastery flows not from the outer performance, but from the inner attunement. One evening, as moonlight filtered through stained glass windows, Lucille set aside her violin and simply listened. In that sacred silence, she heard it, a single pure note resonating within her being. This note carried no sound, yet it sang with absolute truth. She realized that all her years of practice had been an attempt to match this inner harmony. When you align with truth, it resonates in your very cells. Your body knows beyond thought, beyond doubt, when you stand in harmony with your authentic nature. This knowing manifests as a feeling of rightness, a sense of coming home to yourself. Lucille learned to tune first to this inner note before lifting her bow. Her music transformed, not through additional practice, but through surrender to this deeper resonance. The violin became not an instrument to master, but a channel through which truth could flow. During a pivotal performance, Lucille closed her eyes and aligned with that perfect inny note before playing. As she drew her bow across the strings, something extraordinary occurred. The entire concert hall fell into a profound silence, then slowly began to vibrate with her inner harmony. The audience felt not just the music, but the truth from which it sprang. You hold within you this same pure note of truth. It sounds continuous, though often drowned out by the noise of doing, trying, and becoming. When you attune to it, life ceases to be a performance and becomes an expression of authentic being. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Place your hand over your heart and close your eyes. Ask silently, what does truth feel like right now? Let the answer arise not as words, but as sensation. Notice where and how truth resonates in your body. Carry this feeling with you into your next decision, letting it guide your choice. This is not about thinking what is right, but feeling what is true. Part 2. The Ritual of Becoming, Deepening the Practice. Chapter 11. Do this and reality will shift. In the rugged peaks of the western mountains, where gold veins once beckoned fortune seekers, Willard spent 20 years searching for wealth in all the wrong places. His hands were calloused from digging, his spirit worn from chasing glimmers that never manifested into more than fool's gold. You possess this same determined spirit, yet like Willard, you may be expanding it through scattered action rather than sacred alignment. The truth that transformed Willard's life awaits your discovery. One bitter winter morning, lost in a snowstorm, Willard stumbled upon a cave where an ancient hermit dwelled. The hermit spoke no greeting, but gestured for Willard to sit and observe. For 3 days, Willard watched as the hermit performed a single act repeatedly, bringing his thoughts, words, and energy into perfect alignment before taking any action. When you scatter your energy across multiple channels, thinking one thing, speaking another, feeling something else, you dilute your creative power. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are being in totality. The hermit taught Willard to gather himself into a single point of pure intention. First, clear your mind until only one thought remains, he instructed. Then, let your words match this thought exactly. Finally, allow your entire being to vibrate with this unified purpose. Only then, act. In the second winter of his apprenticeship, Willard put this teaching to the test. Having aligned his entire being with a single purpose, he walked into the nearest town and made one decision. That decision led him not to gold, but to something far more precious: the ability to manifest through alignment rather than effort. You see, the sacred act is not about forcing reality to bend to your will. It is about becoming so coherent in your energy that reality naturally reshapes itself around your aligned presence. This is the difference between pushing against life and dancing with it. Sacred practice. Take your journal and write down one pure desire, something your soul longs for beyond reason or doubt. Now sit in silence until your thoughts align perfectly with this desire, clearing away all contrary beliefs. Speak your intention aloud until your words carry the exact frequency of your thought. Feel this alignment in your body until every cell vibrates with this single purpose. Within the next 24 hours, take one action from this state of perfect coherence. Do not hesitate or question. Simply act from this unified field of being. The power lies not in the action itself, but in the alignment from which it springs. Chapter 12. Frequency is the key. In a dimly lit radio room surrounded by the hum of equipment, Nora sat night after night during the darkest hours of war. Her fingers rested lightly on the transmitter, waiting for messages that could change the course of history. Yet the most vital transmission she would ever receive came not through the airwaves, but through the silence between signals. You, like Nora, are constantly broadcasting and receiving. Every thought, every feeling emanates from you as a distinct frequency into the universe. What you seek is already transmitted.